Welcome to Mel Boldt and Associates How to Make a Great Product podcast, where we explore best practices for taking great ideas from napkin sketches to mass production. I'm Stacy Alatsis, Vice President of Public Relations for Mel Boldt and Associates. I have with me today Jay Tynan, President of Mel Boldt and Associates, and Rob Fleck, Principal Product Manager for Mel Boldt and Associates.
Hi, hey Stacy, thanks for the introduction. Hi Stacy, glad to be with you. We here at Mel Boldt and Associates, as you just said, we bring product from napkin sketch to production. So the way we get started on a project is once we've talked to you for a while and we've engaged, we'll come do an on-site workshop, and this is the introductory meeting. And in that workshop, we encourage you to bring in all the stakeholders to the project. Your product managers, your engineers, whoever's your marketing team, and bringing a group of 5 or 6 people, and we walk through this PVP, and which is a short for product value proposition. We'll put that up in a minute. And this tells us what is the promise we're trying to make to the customer, and what is the essence of the design we're going to make. What is it captures its true differentiation. So if you are a company that needs help designing a product, let's say you're a software company but need hardware developed, or a hardware company needs software developed, or you're an industrial design firm that needs hardware and software developed under a project they're working on, we can do all of that. This series that we're in now, we will show you what it's like to work with Mel Boldt and Associates. This first series, we're going to talk about making a hardware product. And imagine you've come to us with this idea, and we'll show you how we take it from I want to make a headset to here's how to make a great headset. Here's how we do the designs. Here's how we do the concept sketches, and give you options, and then how we prepare it to work with your manufacturer, or we help you find a manufacturer. So this is kind of a day in the life at Mel Boldt and Associates.
So Mel Boldt and Associates has been producing iconic designs since 1952. So we are continuing that tradition in the products that we are developing today. And there are several that we have done so far. But we're going to show you one that we're going to start kind of from scratch with an idea that Rob came up with. So Rob, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I have in the past worked with at companies where we made a lot of headsets, and a lot of the ways we would differentiate would be simply we brought in a new chipset, we've changed the size of the driver, very technical features. But even though I had access to every wireless headset I wanted, I didn't wear wireless headsets because I personally was a little bit worried about the radiation. And it occurred to me, this is probably an easy thing to solve. And I'll bet I'm not the only one in the world that's worried about radiation coming from that headset. So I bring we're going to pretend here that a customer has come to us and said, we want to make a headset. We want to differentiate it. How can we do so? They may have a lot of technical things that they want to do. They may have the driver chosen and everything because they have a great product team that wants to do that. But we would take that and try to build a story with them. So that's the idea today, and that's how we're going to do that.
Well, we can work at any stage.
Right.
Whether something's just really basic and a very beginning idea to something that's a little more developed. I mean, it just depends. They're always different.
Right. And we also wouldn't force ideas into a client. If a client came to us and said, we already know what we want to make, we just want the industrial design around it, we want you to get this manufactured, perfect, we can do that as well. But we're going to, in this mock scenario, we're going to show a little bit of our ability to add differentiating features that really set something apart.
And the differentiating feature for this headphone that we're talking about kind of has a story behind it. And, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. It's a little bit of a downer story, so I'll be quick about it. So I've had cancer twice. That's why I'm pretty concerned about, cancer. When they say only 1 in 10 people get cancer, I'm usually the guy that gets it. But also my father died from brain cancer. My uncle died from brain cancer. And I've had 2 friends in their 30s get brain cancer. None of this can be directly linked to wearing a headset or using a cell phone or anything like that, but it sure is suspicious. So that's why I'm interested. This is why I wanted to do it.
And
Well, this is also something we could add. Again, this is a feature, a protective feature as you get into it, that we could add. They could just say, okay, here's a headset. We want to have it in this price category and these features. We could always come up with an added feature. It just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that that different thing about it is what makes this kind of special. Makes it different. Yeah.
Okay, so how would we get started? So that's what we're making. We're making headsets. We're assuming a customer came to us and said, listen, we're in this space, or we're trying to enter this space. We're finding it very hard to differentiate. How can you help us? And this is what we came up with, right? So what we do initially is have a meeting with the client and try to capture everything. And I like to use a PVP worksheet. This stands for product value proposition. And it captures things around the idea to make sure that when we go back to the office and we start putting pen to paper, pencil to paper, that we are going in the right direction. It also helps the client as we go through this discussion, make sure that they've thought of everything and they understand what they're doing. And if we can't figure out 1 or 2 of the cells, then that becomes an action item for either the client or ourselves to go out and do. In this series, we'll be doing all the action items. So in a PVP, there are 6 cells, and we have it, and we can put it on the board. And I've done some pre-work on there to show what it might look like for this project. It doesn't have to be 100% correct. The actual benefit of the PVP is going through the actions of filling it out and having a discussion with the team about it and brainstorming and get these things out. So I just went and filled some things in. Number 1 thing in a PVP, you'll see it in the top left. It's who is the target customer. If you don't know who your target customer is, it's going to be extremely hard for you to provide a product they like. In this one, we've put down that it's, U.S. domestic customer, some things about that. Also, we've noted that since we're adding this feature, they're probably health conscious, but that headset for your target customer, the client, they're going to know who their customer is. I'm going for a gaming customer. So let's assume it's a gaming customer. And they know that selling, and it's not in here, but they would add in there, our gaming customer is this demographic, right? We find if we hit gamers who are in the 20 to 27-year-old time frame or age, that they have the money to buy a headset, and that others will pick up after that. That could be something that they share with that, and we would add in there. And then once we decide that, we put down a section for consumer insights. What do we know? So that would come mostly from the sponsor. And they would tell us, well, we know they like this, that, and the other thing. For example, we know they want it to be extremely comfortable. We know that most of our customers like it over the ear because it's more comfortable. We sell on the ear or in the ear, but they don't sell as much. Those might be things we add. But then you can see we've added the things that we anticipate finding. We think that there are people who are concerned about EMI. So we've added this. Now we will do research to make sure that that's true. Then you add in the competition, put down their features, and now you have along the top, you have what you need to do to figure out what you're going to make and how you're going to differentiate. So you can usually fill in the left. You can always fill in the right. The middle one, you probably need a little bit of friends and family research, maybe even a round of research to fill that out. And in the next episode, we'll show you how we do that research. And then once you have all that at the top, you have your primary research, your secondary research, and your consumer insights. Then you can start saying how I'm going to differentiate. And if you look at the bottom during the ideation, this is where you go back and forth with the client and say, what if we make this promise to the customer? And if we make this promise, how can we add features? How can we design the product in such a way that when a consumer looks at it online when they're shopping or on shelf when they're shopping, that just the pure image of the product on the box and the box itself, how do those things tell the customer, we're going to promise you this, and here's the reasons you can believe, because we've added feature 1, feature 2, feature 3.
Well, that's another capability of our office is designing the packaging.
Yes,
You're referring to.
and we don't just design the packaging. Jay can take the package, design the packaging, and then give you a whole virtual shopping experience. And we've done that, and we can show some images for this where we show it on shelf, and then we give you a view of the package from 3 feet away, a view of the package in your hand looking at the back, and then we can run a whole simulated shopping experience. It's not a virtual reality shopping experience. It's more like, okay, which of these do you like, A, B, and C? What did you like? But from that, we can get excellent insights on how well your product would compete on shelf against competitors.
Because you could even do a rendering, an image, a digital image of your product as you designed it with the competition, which I'm sure they'd be very interested in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jay can also, like if you came to us just with a napkin sketch, Jay can create that fully rendered 3-dimensional design of the product. And then he can also show how it would appear in the packaging and on the shelf as well. So he can do like the full design concept,
right,
from napkin sketch to production.
So I think we should talk about how important that is. As we were working on this podcast, we talked about this product. I mean, obviously we've had some stuff filled out. We didn't just come up with it this second. But each of us had a different idea of what this looked like in our head. I think, Stacy, at one time you even said, you're like, what is this, a full helmet or something like that? And it wasn't until Jay created the concept sketches that the team was able to understand where we're going. So a concept sketch is incredibly important in the beginning of a project to get everybody going in the same direction. Do you want to throw some of the images up right now as a little teaser as we move along?
Oh, sure. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, we can fill that in there.
Jay, did you want to talk a little bit about things you took into consideration when coming up with the initial design sketches?
Yeah, the thing is, product design starts with a collection of wants and needs from the client. And then from there, we can develop thumbnail sketches, freehand sketches, small scale, just to get an idea of a direction. And that evolves into more sketches. And then when you have a few sketches that you want to go ahead and pursue and put in the time to build to a 3D rendering, then you can do that. And that's the other thing about rendering with a computer. I did a lot of rendering with markers and on a paper, and it was great. It was a real great way to show it. But CAD now is so easy to modify. You can have something and change it and modify it. And again, every step is an evolution of several steps where you see, you react, you revise and change. And then you get into something and finish it up. And then, there are usually multiple ideas that are pursued this way. So usually, depending on the scope of the project and everything else that's been discussed, you can do more than one concept. Certainly, it's preferable to do 3 to 5, maybe even more. Initially, years ago, we'd have 20 renderings, and I don't really think you need to quite do that. But the beauty of this also is that you can take, say you have A, B, and C. You can take something from A and change it and add it to B, and something from C you can add to B, and B is becoming the best concept. So it's really an evolution of steps, everything involving design. At least that's the way I pursued it. And I think it works, and the client sees it that way too. And you filter it through the client, and when you show them the sketches, and then they will always have comments, and you can take that into account and redo, revise, add, change, modify, and it's a series of several steps. I think it's important that the client contributes. You can't just go off away from them and not show them what you're doing. I think there are stages where you're ready to show them a different concept, and then you can do it. And so I'm all for showing the client different ideas. The only thing you have to be concerned about is having the client show your ideas to too many people. You need to have the key shareholders in the idea, the project, have them involved. And then once you reach an agreement on a concept to pursue, whether it's one or two, then you can maybe do a focus group or have other people involved. But early stages, you need to have the key people involved in
Right.
the idea.
Excellent. So at this point, I think what we're showing is initial meeting. We come in, we hear your idea, we get what the information we need to show what the product value is. We find the areas we need to research, and then we go off and we do the next round of research. And I think that's what we're going to do next on this product. We'll see basically what the interest level is. If we should is this shielding going to be interesting to anyone at all? And then
Do a focus group,
yeah, we'll go on from there.
Okay, that's great. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the How to Make a Great Product podcast. Click the link in the show notes for a special gift for our listeners. We are providing a product value proposition worksheet that will walk you through the why, what, who, where, how, and when process of researching and ideating a successful product. Be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode on market research and validating our concept for the radiation shielded Bluetooth headset.